Hi, this is segment 2 with Ask and Answer. A question that I saw that appeared is laptops versus desktops. This is a very interesting topic, and the reason why I say that is because you can pretty much do the same thing on a desktop that you can do on a laptop, but sometimes it's not always true. Now, desktops tend to have more random access memory than laptops. So if you're the type of person that's just going to be in one area, you're not going to be traveling, or if you're not using it other than any purpose, outside of home, then you need to get a desktop, because desktop tends to have better graphics depending on the brand you get, and it tends to have more RAM and more hard drive memory. And when you look at it in comparison, you're looking at portability versus performance. And if you don't really need the portability, then opt the portability out for the performance. Now, there's not significant difference, but there is a slight difference. So if you're not going to be traveling, or if you're not going to be using a computer outside of home, then get the desktop, opt the portability, and get better performance. Now, choosing a desktop can be difficult because you want to make sure you got the desktop that's suitable to your needs. Now, in today's time, most people need they want fast computers, something fast. Now, everybody sees on the commercials you got the i3, the i5, and the i7. Those are the second generation Intel Core processors. Now, whatever you do, if you want a fast computer, don't get the i3. Get the i5 or the i7, because the i3 is just like having Intel Sirloin computer, and when you have those, they seem to lag after the first 2 years. So it's better to get an i5 or an i7 if you're getting the second generation. Now, if you're getting the first generation, then it really doesn't matter with the first generation Intel Core processors, because the first generation is made better than the second. But the reason why Intel chose to make a second one, which is my personal opinion, would be that there was some stuff that the first generation wouldn't allow you to do, and the second generation opened up the window to allow you to do that. Okay, so now that processors are out the way, RAM stands for random access memory, and that is the physical hardware that your computer uses to perform tasks. Without RAM, a computer can't run. Now, according to Microsoft's website, their recommended RAM for Windows 7 is 1 gigabyte for Home Premium, Ultimate, and Professional, and 512 megabytes for Home Premium. Now, that's the minimum to run it, but if you want it to go fast, you need at least 2 gigs. 1.5 gigs if you're running Home Premium, but other than that, 2 gigs. Now, that's to make it go without stopping and slowing down. Now, if you want a computer that goes the fastest of its abilities, then go ahead and get 8 gigs of RAM, because that's the most any unless it's an Apple can run with Windows 7. So go ahead and get the 8 gigs if you want a computer with more speed. Get the 8 gigs. Now, with DDR1 and 2 RAM, they can get kind of costly because of when DDR1 and 2 came out. But if you get in a computer in today's age, most of them are made with DDR3, and that's a very important issue. Make sure you know what kind of RAM your computer takes, because if you buy the wrong kind of RAM, your computer will not be able to read it. So DDR3, 8 gigs of RAM, probably run you about $200. Then after that, you need to look at the motherboard. Now, the motherboard I'm not too familiar with, but I do know there are different types of motherboards. And when looking at a motherboard, you really, when you ask somebody about their motherboard, you're really asking what options can the BIOS setup utility perform. And BIOS is basically the settings of the motherboard when like if you turn off your computer and turn it back on and you keep tapping the F10 key, you will open BIOS, and that allows you to change settings of your computer that you can't change with the operating system loaded up. For example, most computers, I'm saying most, almost every computer has a built-in cooling fan. Now, sometimes the cooling fan doesn't work. That's what BIOS is for. BIOS is to see what's preventing the fan from working, or is the fan on or anything. Now, older computers, they have a fan, but chances are your computer gets hot less than 2 minutes, and it acts up even with the fan on, and you would need an external cooling fan. Now, with newer computers, it's hard to say. It's based on the ventilation of the computer, because if you have it sitting on a desk or something like that for too long, the computer's not getting no ventilation, therefore it can't breathe, and the units of the computer are not being cooled properly. So that's a helpful hint. So when you're looking at a computer, looking at the computer's motherboard, ask what options can the BIOS setup utility perform. And finally, you need to look at the graphics. Do you want, the nicest looking computer, or do you really don't care about graphics and you're trying to save money? Now, if you're going to go ahead and get the best RAM and everything like that, you need to get the best graphics, because those two go hand in hand, RAM and graphics. If you have bad graphics and good RAM, your computer is still not going to perform to the best of its abilities. Now, make sure your graphics card does support Windows Aerial, and make sure you know what your computer's rating is in Windows Index Experience. When you buy a new computer, it's like if you ever heard of the Carfax report, when you get a computer, you can get something similar to it. You can get a report that tells you everything about it, as far as the graphics card and everything like that. Now, when you're looking at the specifications of it, that will not show you the graphics card details. You need to get, it's a report, and it costs $4.99 from Best Buy, and they'll break it down to you what's the Windows Index Experience and everything. That's a nice $5 to invest in. I mean, that's if you really don't know what you're doing with computers, you're just new to it, and that's about it. So this concludes segment 2 of Ask and Answer. Remember, leave any questions in the description below, in the comment box below, and I will answer the questions in the next segment.